You action figure enthusiasts out there, JC here with another T&I toy review. And today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, I'm going to be taking a look at the brand new Punisher and Camo Gear, as well as the new Punisher War Machine Marvel Legend figures from Hasbro. Now, both of these figures are part of Hasbro's Marvel 80th Anniversary subline, as well as fan channel exclusives. Right now, both of these figures are seeing release at GameStop, but they will be available at most online retailers that carry Marvel Legends. They come packaged in the same style that we see with all the Marvel Legend figures. You've got the black boxes with the Legend Series logos up at the top. The figures are clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and then down below you've got the logos. For the Camo Gear one, you just have the classic Punisher comic book logo. And then for the War Machine one, it's the logo, same logo that was featured on issue 218, which actually featured this version of the armor on the cover. And then on the sides of the packaging, you've got artwork for the characters. On the back of the packaging, you've again got artwork and then brief bios in multiple languages. So here's a look at the bio for the Punisher figure, and then for the Punisher War Machine. All right, let's get these open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figures outside of the packaging along with their other contents. Now, like with pretty much all of these 80th anniversary fan channel exclusive figures, everything that you see here has been previously released, including both the accessories and the figures themselves. Now, starting with the Camo Punisher figure, you get various weapons, which again we've seen before. Now these are done with like a beige and black color, so they almost look like weapons you would use in a desert, which doesn't actually match the camo pattern of the figure itself, so that's a little bit odd. But nevertheless, you know, we've seen these weapons. You've got this one with the grenade launcher. You know, I'm not a weapons expert, so I don't know the official names of all of these. But again, we have seen these previously in the Marvel Legends line, and all of them are done with the beige and black colors. And then you also get two different head sculpts. Now these are the same two head sculpts that we got with the Walgreens exclusive Punisher figure. This one has a gray bandana as opposed to a white one, and he's got more of a 5 o'clock shadow type of thing going on there. And then this one, they've painted the skull on the face, but it's the same sculpt that we got with the Walgreens one. Now, the Punisher and Camo Gear figure itself is a figure that reuses parts from multiple figures, so it's kind of a kit bash. So first of all, the legs and torso were used on the Netflix Punisher, and then we also saw these legs used on the Killmonger Black Panther movie figure. And you also notice that the Killmonger also shares the same thing on the left leg there with the magazines, and then the belt is the same as well with the grenades and everything. So that's where we saw those. And then the jacket, the sleeveless jacket, comes from the Ultimate Captain America figure. So it is the same one that we saw with that one, only painted black. And then finally, these arms were first used on the Scourge figure. So you've got those little holes up here in the shoulder, even though the arms on the Punisher figure are all black. Now, even though this figure reuses parts from existing figures, there's nothing new here. I think it actually looks pretty good. Hasbro actually did Punisher and Camo Gear in their early days, and I do think this one is an improvement over that one. I like how the Punisher symbol on his chest looks. It's painted on there. I like how they've painted their grenades so they're a metallic greenish type color. They're not just painted black. And then same with the magazines here on the side. I think the gray camo pants look good. Again, they don't really match up with the weapons they included. I would think he would have desert type camo pattern if he was going to use those weapons. But again, I do like how the gray pants look. And the jacket works, even though it's from Ultimate Cap, it works pretty well. And this holster, this one from Killmonger, just like with Killmonger, is removable. Now you've got the clips on it, and the knife, which is not removable, and you've got the gun, which is also not removable, which I'm not a fan of. But otherwise, I think it looks good. I do like how they painted the grenades a dark green army color, so I think that those look pretty good. And you've got the metallic silver on the belt buckle, and then I also like how they painted the magazines here on the straps here on the left leg. So I think that looks pretty good. And then, even though this torso is from the Netflix Punisher, I think this looked pretty good. And you got some sculpting detail. Looks like he's wearing, body armor there, which I like. So, you know, even though this figure really doesn't use any, or actually doesn't use any new parts at all, you know, I think they did a good job with the whole kit bashing thing with this one. Now with the Punisher War Machine, same thing here, nothing new. This is a reuse of the War Machine that's from Captain America Civil War that was released as a Target 2-pack with the Disco Iron Man. So same accessories that came with that one, including things like this baton piece, which, you know, we saw in Civil War, but it's not something that you see Punisher using in the comics or anything. So it's kind of a pointless accessory. You get both the extended version and the retracted version with that. You also get a shoulder cannon, and then you also get a retracted version of the shoulder cannon. You get these wrist cannons as well. And then you get an extra pair of hands, a pair of closed-fisted hands. The ones that are attached to the figure are open hands. And like I said, for the figure itself, this is just a repainted version of the one from Captain America Civil War. Exact same figure, nothing different, just repainted. So you even got like the arc reactor on this one, but you can't see it because they painted over it with the white Punisher paint. But, you know, it's the same thing, same sculpting and everything. They left some of the decals, like the 000s here on the arms. They left that on this one. And then they added some decals, like the little Punisher skulls here on the chest and down here on his right leg, which is something from the comics. So they included that. They removed the decals here on his chest and such. And then like the one on his shoulder, they took off as well. But they left the 000s there for some reason. I don't think that was featured in the comics. Now, for those of you who never had the Civil War version of this figure, just some things to note about these accessories. So first of all, with the shoulder cannon, you can, if you want to have it so it looks like the cannon is retracted inside the armor, use this short piece and you just plug it into the top of the hole up here, and that's what that's supposed to mimic. And then you can plug in just the regular cannon as well in that same hole. Now this cannon does not stay in the figure very well. At least on the Civil War version, it would always fall off. So just be wary of that. Always annoyed me how easily this cannon would fall off on the figure. And it always kind of looked a little small to me as well. I don't know. And you got the blue painted on the tip of the cannon there. And then on this side, this is supposed to be that baton thing that War Machine used in Captain America Civil War. And so this is the retracted version. It looks like, you know, it's sticking out of the armor there. And, you know, you can remove it. Sorry, I keep knocking the figure over. But figure doesn't stand very well on its own. It has a tendency to fall over pretty easily. And then basically you get the one that's fully extended. You don't get two shoulder cannons with this figure, unfortunately. It would have been nice if they replaced this baton piece and gave us like a Gatling gun, but they didn't. So you just get the one shoulder cannon, and again, that one has a tendency to fall out. Now you also get these wrist cannons, which have a little bit of articulation. These little magazines, they pop up, but these come off very easily. They just pop right off, so be wary of that. You can either attach these to the bottom of the arms because they're wrist cannons and they just plug in like that. Or if you don't want to have them on the arms, you can also, there's a place on the sides of the legs where you have a side tab and you can plug them in there as well. So you got two places where you can store those. Here's an up close look at the figure. So again, you know, even though it's a little bit on the short side, I think it does a good job of representing the Punisher War Machine armor from the particular cover. It did look different in most of the actual comic book stories that he wore it, but on that one cover, this is actually pretty much how the armor looks. So you got, as I mentioned before, you got the little skulls painted on the right leg and up here on the chest. You got the skull, the Punisher skull painted on the front here, which looks pretty good, and you've got some, you know, black splattering throughout, which is good. Again, they did leave those 000s from the Civil War version, which is not accurate to the comic, but again, I guess they thought it wasn't a big enough deal. I know some of you with the helmet, with the head sculpt here, wanted one with the Punisher skull actually painted on it, but like I said, this is pretty accurate to that particular cover, even though, you know, the skull, the helmet with the skull on it is actually kind of cooler looking. You've got the shoulder pads, which are separate pieces, like with the Civil War version, and you got, I like how you've got some scratch marks, like here on the shoulders and down the legs and everything, so you've got some wear and tear and on the arms and stuff. So I like that extra detailing that they gave the figure. And like I said, even though I would say it is a bit on the short side, I think this particular armor does look very similar to the one featured on that particular Punisher comic cover. Now, if you wanted to go with some non-helmeted heads for your Punisher War Machine, technically you can stick like this one from the Camo Punisher on there, but it's going to fit loosely because the hole in the head is bigger than the ball there. So you can technically put it on there, but again, it's going to be very loose. And then same thing with like if you want to stick your Netflix Punisher head sculpt on here, it does fit on there, but again, it's very loose. So both of these Punisher figures, as I mentioned before, are pretty close to the same height, and they come in right about 6.5 inches tall. Here's a comparison of all the various recent Marvel Legend Punisher figures that we've gotten. So the Netflix one, the Punisher War Machine, the Camo one, and the Walgreens exclusive version. Because this is the only 6-inch comic book base War Machine I have, the old Toy Biz one, here's a comparison with that one. So for articulation, starting with the Punisher War Machine figure, it's exactly the same as that Civil War version, but we'll go over it real quick. You can turn the head to the left and to the right, and he can look down pretty good, but he really can't look back, unfortunately, so that kind of sucks for flight poses, and you don't get any head pivot. With the arms, you can get the arms out good even with the shoulder pads, but as far as rotating, you have to kind of rotate and lift these shoulder pads up. These are done with a hard plastic, but there's enough flexibility that you can still rotate the arms pretty good. You've got a bicep swivel. You get a double hinged elbow, so you can bend the elbow about that much, and then you've got rotation with the hands, and you do have hinges, so you've got some up and down movement there. You've got a midsection joint, so you've got rotation there. You can pivot a little bit to the left and the right, but you really don't get any crunch movement. You can't move forward or back a whole lot there at the midsection. You do not get a waist swivel. With the legs, can only do the splits that much, and then get the leg forward about that much, and then the leg back about that much. You do have a thigh swivel up high there. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there. And then with the feet, you have a little bit of up and down movement, but not too much, and a little bit of pivot. You've got these pieces that come down over the feet, so that limits that movement a decent amount. And then you have 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Now for the Punisher in Camo, you can turn the head to the left and to the right, and really can't look down very much, even though he does have a hinge joint. I guess the way it's sculpted, but he can look up really good. He can look almost straight back, so that's good, even though he doesn't fly. And then with the arms, you can get the arm out about that much, and you've got good rotation there. You've got a bicep swivel, you've got a double hinged elbow, and then rotation with the hands and hinges on the hands. These arms work a lot better with this Netflix Punisher torso than the arms they included on that original figure. You've got a midsection joint, so you've got rotation. You can pivot to the left and the right. You can crunch forward a little bit about that much, and then back about that much. You get a waist swivel with the legs. You can do the splits that much. You can get the leg forward pretty good, and you can do the leg back. You've got a thigh swivel up high there. You've got a double jointed knee, so good bending there at the knee. And then with the feet, you have hinges, so back and forth movement, and you do have ankle pivot with this one, and 2 peg holes on the bottom of the feet. Okay, so that's my review. So overall, if I had to choose one or the other, I'd go with the Camo Punisher, which is kind of surprising. When I first saw that figure, I wasn't too fond of it, but it's definitely grown on me. Neither one of these figures offer anything new. Both figures are reused or reused parts, as well as the accessories that come with them. But I think the Punisher Camo figure is actually a good use of, basically kit bashing. Now the War Machine figure, I think, does a good job of representing the armor from that particular comic book cover. But I do think the mold is a bit small, and the accessories have always annoyed me with that figure, with the shoulder cannon that always falls off. I also think they should have given us, instead of the baton from the Civil War movie, they should have given us something different, like a Gatling gun, a second shoulder cannon like you see on the cover. Now both of these figures have started to see a limited release at GameStop, but they will be released anywhere that sells these fan channel exclusives like a Big Bad Toy Store or Megalopolis Toys. The Punisher War Machine figure will probably go up for pre-order online next week during New York Comic Con. We'll have a full image gallery up at marvelousnews.com. There'll be a link in the video description below. As always, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're so inclined, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification so you're alerted every time I upload a new video. And of course, you can also follow me on my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram accounts. I have links to all those in the video description as well. And until next time, guys, I'll catch you later.